provides one motion to recommit. Finally, the rule provides that Clause 5B of Rule 21 shall not apply to the bill or amendments thereto.
Thank you very much, Ms. Houchin. You've now heard the motion. Is there any discussion or amendment to the rule?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Mr. McGovern.
Yeah, so, again, we spent 20 hours debating this bill, and many of the 500 amendments submitted to it as well. We began at 1 a.m. We have been fully transparent about our views. Over 100 Democrats testified before this committee, expressing our profound opposition to this bill, and our deep disappointment in the process. On the other hand, Republicans went off and debated with themselves in some secret back room. Now we're back here in the dead of night, and they want the only amendment to move forward. They want the only amendment to move forward to be the one that they wrote in secret. It's a 40-page manager's amendment. I have no idea what the implications are of the changes that are being made. We're not going to get a CBO score on the changes before we vote. And again, the manager's amendment isn't some boring compilation of technical fixes. It makes huge changes to key portions of the bill. And how in the world are members supposed to understand what they're about to vote on? I mean, are you going to explain every provision of this? Our old colleague, Mr. Massey, understands it. I mean, Mr. Neguse quoted him earlier. He said, shouldn't we take more than a few hours to read a bill this big and this consequential, end quote. You know, Congressman Massey's right. We have had only minutes to review this amendment before voting on it, without even a comparative print. We don't even have a comparative print to show what is changing. I mean, CBO spent days and days carefully putting together data about what the previous version of this bill would do. I know it didn't show what you were hoping it would show, but it seems vital for us to get updated data on a bill that is set to rob the middle class in order to pay off the rich. So there is no pressing deadline here. That's what is so puzzling to us. I mean, just your own made-up deadline to pass this bill before Memorial Day. We could do this bill tomorrow or the next day. We could do it when we come back from Memorial Day. So, you know, we should recess and give everyone the time needed to understand these changes. This is a big deal. This is consequential. And that we're moving forward with major changes, and we're just supposed to take, you know, your word for it that, oh, it's no big deal. So, you know what, I move that we adjourn, because we ought to take the time to be able to do this.
Point of order. Motion to adjourn has been made. It's not debatable. No comments after that can be allowed. Madam Chair.
Say that again.
The gentleman made a motion to adjourn and then wanted to explain it, but you can't debate a motion to adjourn. So once the motion's made, all discussion ends.
Understand. Yes.
All right,
There,
stop
the
debating every which
clerk,
way you can, I get it, okay?
yeah. The question
Well,
is
that's the rule,
I
going
get
back to Parliament.
I get it, yep, I get it.
The question is on the motion to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no.
No.
In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it.
Can I ask for a roll call, or am I going to be silenced on that?
You may ask for a roll
I ask for a
call.
roll call. It's
The clerk
atrocious
will-
process.
The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? No. Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? No. Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? No. Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern?
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon? Aye. Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Aye. Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
Clerk will report the tally.
4 yeas, 7 nays.
the amendment is not, the motion is not agreed to. Is there further
Yes.
discussion or amendment?
Madam Chairwoman, I have an amendment to the rule. I move the committee make an order amendment number 378 offered by myself, which requires NIH to restore all awarded, unspent, but obligated appropriated NIH grant funding.
You've heard the motion from the ranking member. Is there further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. No. In the opinion of the chair, the noes
I ask
have
for a
it.
roll call.
The gentleman asked for roll call. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Ms. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? No. Ms. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? No. Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? No. Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern?
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon? Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
Clerk will report the tally.
4 yeas, 7 nays.
The noes have it. The amendment is not agreed to. Is there further discussion
Yes.
on the,
Yeah. I have an amendment to the rule, Madam Chair.
Mr. McGovern, you're
I move the
recognized.
committee strike the final sentence of the rule, which states that Clause 5B of Rule 21, the House rule requiring a supermajority vote to increase income taxes, does not apply to this bill. I mean, we have just spent hours and hours showing that this tax scam will mostly benefit the ultra-wealthy, while it will hurt the lowest earners. We have presented unbiased, nonpartisan analysis from the Joint Committee on Taxation, from the Congressional Budget Office, and from outside experts. And here's one final piece of proof. Republicans have to rig the rules to move their bill forward, even though it increases taxes for many families. And I'll try to explain in plain English. The House rules require a supermajority vote, 3/5, for any bill that increases income taxes. And guess what? Republicans are turning that rule off for this bill. You are turning it off. Not as part of a standard waiver of all points of order, but specifically and intentionally. And why do they have to do that? Because they know that this bill will increase taxes on those families who are struggling the most to put food on the table. And they want to rig the rules so they can pass it with a party line vote anyway, despite the House rule against it. This bill is a Republican scam, and the American people aren't going to fall for it. So I urge a yes vote on my amendment to ensure that we follow the House rules, and I yield back.
The gentleman yields back. Any further discussion? Mr. Neguse?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to be heard on the amendment. I support the gentleman's amendment, and I think it begs a larger question with reference to the manager's amendment that we're considering. We've had a very fulsome discussion over the course of the last 20 hours on the bill that was before this committee. We now have, I believe, a 40-some-odd page manager's amendment that's been submitted. Here it is, we just got it. And I know my colleagues seemed very willing to explain the various provisions of the underlying bill. And so I wonder if any of them would be willing to help explain to me the changes in the manager's amendment. If Mr. Scott or Mr. Norman could perhaps give us some clarity about what this manager's amendment attempts to do to the underlying bill. I mean, we just got it, so we're being asked to vote on it. I assume you all, and maybe who we need to have come in to explain it is Mr. Roy. I mean, Mr. Roy has not been in this hearing, I think, for the vast majority of it, the last 20 hours that we've been sitting here. I assume he's negotiating this. He's working. So I assume he explained to you what he's now asking you all to vote for. Can someone explain to us what this manager's amendment attempts to do?
Mr. Neguse?
Yes.
I gave you the summary. There's been a lot of discussion about it being a 1,000-page bill, but we all know all of those components were out there for a long time. And so I want to look at a 40-page bill. We all know that that's not 40 pages, 8.5, not large amount, so much of it is technical. Mr. McGovern said there's not a lot that's technical. I've given you what are the major substantive changes in the bill. We're happy to give you a copy of that, but
Is that a summary document that you have that you're, yeah, if you could provide that to us, that would be helpful. I guess I'm just trying to get a sense of, and maybe my colleagues on the other side of the aisle already know, where did this bill end up on SALT? Where did it end up with the IRA phase-outs? Where all of the variety of issues that have been, been debated the last couple of days? I just think it's unfortunate that members would have to, find out from
I can read.
online on Twitter.
I can read this to you.
I'm just trying to
Okay.
understand, well, what does it mean to, to strike MAGA and insert Trump? I mean, what's that about in the manager's amendment?
I can answer that question, Madam Chair.
Yeah, I mean, this is why you don't, hand something like this to people and then rush into a markup. But anyways, if people could explain some of this stuff, that would be helpful.
Who was it that said they could explain the?
Mr. Griffith?
Sure.
If the chairwoman wants me to.
I'm happy to yield a moment from my time.
I'm happy to recognize you, Mr. Griffith.
Yeah, so
It was my time, but I don't.
all of that language was in the original bill, and they were creating this new trust that you would, for a child born in, I think, 4 or 5 year period, I don't remember now if it was a 4-year period or a 5-year period, you could set up a trust. There was all kinds of rules about the qualifications of the trustee. It had to be a bank, et cetera, and the name of the trust originally was going to be the MAGA trust that you set up for the child, and the government was going to put in, I believe, if I remember correctly, it was $1,000 for each child where the family set this up, and they were going to call them MAGA trusts.
And why the name
The
change?
wisdom was to change that to the Trump trusts.
You're going to name these accounts?
Why?
So the Cory Booker idea, this was Cory Booker's idea, it's his baby bonds. Now, he was willing to
Wait.
call it baby, but
Can,
Trump
can,
didn't call it
can we
Trump.
do this one person at a time, please?
Sorry.
No, you're right.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Griffith, for that explanation. It's nice to have that clarity, and I suspect those who might be watching online can now understand.
Wow.
So to put a finer point on it, the MAGA baby bonds are now going to be named the Trump baby bonds. That's what Republicans have spent the better part of the last 24 hours negotiating at the White House. Apparently, the president got his way, and these new savings accounts will be named in his honor. It's for all the talk of my colleagues, not treating him like a king. It sure seems like you are attempting to do so. I've never heard of you all would be screaming bloody murder if we named savings accounts after Barack Obama, the new trust accounts for your children and your grandchildren, Obama accounts.
Well, I
would
do
love to
think-
see the reaction. But anyway, I will. I'm happy to yield back the balance of my time, and others want to be heard on the amendment. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Ms. Scanlon?
Yeah, just with respect to that, instead of the MAGA trust or the
Trump
Trump trust, why don't we call it the Trump diaper savings? It could be TDS, because I think the only way you end up with a stupid name like this is if you have TDS. So let's call it the Trump diaper savings.
Well, you'd need to offer an amendment to do that,
Well,
I
I don't think
believe.
it's worth
Ms.
anyone's time.
Scanlon.
It's not going anywhere.
Do we have a pending
Do-
amendment?
I-
So,
No, I believe you,
We're on his amendment.
right, and I'd like to speak to his amendment.
yes.
So, I mean, I think the reason we're talking about the amendment is that Republicans are going to raise taxes, right? Mr. McGovern?
Mr.
Right.
McGovern made an amendment
Yeah.
to take out the last line.
Right, and the
the
reason
vote.
that needs to be taken out is because the requirement, if I am
Right.
correct, I am going to read this. They are taking out consideration of retroactive tax rate increase. It shall not be in order to consider a bill, joint resolution, et cetera, carrying a retroactive federal income tax rate increase. The only reason you need to get rid of that section is because you're having a tax rate buried somewhere in here. So there is a tax rate increase. That's what you are doing. So not only are you, I mean, you need to think about that. And the problem is you don't know what's in this, but this is snuck in here. And your Republican colleagues should know that. Representative McGovern, I mean,
So they're making it easier to raise taxes on struggling families.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's what this is. So that's what we're voting on. Otherwise, why would you waive it? Why would you have to waive it?
Yeah.
I believe the explanation is that it's very precautionary because of the name of the trust.
Oh, it's precautionary.
Because of the name of the trust.
The trust is a tax increase? So
We're talking-
clearly,
we're talking
there's
about
some
two
kind of
different
tax increase in this
No,
bill.
we're talking about two different things right
No, no,
now.
no.
You're talking about the MAGA Trump thing. I'm going back to that, we have a pending amendment.
No, that's what we're talking about. Why do we have that line in there?
While you have to approve a tax increase, you're approving a tax increase because you're increasing somebody's taxes for the Trump baby bonds? I mean, this is getting even more confusing. It is, your explanations
It
get us all
has-
more
Madam
worried.
Chairman,
Excuse me. There is a better explanation, and that is because we are continuing the tax cuts that were in the TCJA, it is being done as a cautionary measure to make sure that there is nothing seen in here that
But, Madam
would
Chair-
implicate a tax increase.
Yeah, but Madam Chair, if you are describing those
Madam
as
Chair.
tax cuts, you would not need a authorization for a tax rate increase. This is about increasing your taxes. So you are authorizing the increase of taxes without the required vote in the rules.
I think we've been very clear that we do not intend to increase taxes in this bill. Mr.
Madam
Norman.
Chairman,
So,
I'm pretty sure that, we've been sitting up,
I
we've been
haven't
sitting up
waived
here
my
for four,
time.
we've been, excuse me, we've been sitting up here for however many hours, 20 hours? We're not going,
Mr.
there's
Mr.
no,
Norman.
nothing
Hold
that
on
would
here, Mr.
convince
Mr.
Wait,
Norman,
that
I-
either
Would you
one,
yield to Mr. Norman?
He hasn't asked me
There's-
yet.
Thank you.
there's nothing that
He still
we can
hasn't
say.
asked me. I mean, Mr. Norman, right? If you'd asked me, I would probably yield to you, but
Sounds like
I
you-
have
would
the
you-
time.
Would you
so-
yield?
I would, Mr. Norman. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
I don't think that there's any question that whatever we say to explain anything is going to make my good friends from the other side of the aisle vote for anything that we put forward. So what I would ask is we call for the question, and let's move through this. Thank you for yielding, and that's my request. I yield back, Ms. Hansling.
Generally yield.
I would, of course, yield, Mr.
Again, the House rules requires a supermajority vote, 3/5, for any bill that increases income taxes. And you are turning that rule off for this bill. Not as a part of a standard waiver of all points of order, but specifically and intentionally. And the only reason why you would do that is because you know that this bill will increase taxes on those families who are struggling the most to put food on the table. And so that is this amendment. I think we ought to have a vote on it. And again, none of the explanations have cleared anything up. So I think we ought to have a vote on it.
Right, and just to be clear, what you are voting on is that you want to keep a provision that allows you to increase taxes without the required three-fifths vote. You all decided you didn't want to raise taxes willy-nilly, but that is what the amendment is, and I am supportive of the amendment because we shouldn't be raising taxes when people don't even know what they're doing, but this bill does raise taxes. Thank you very much, and I yield back.
And thank you. And I believe that we will be proven right again as we were in 2017. So I have no problems voting against Mr. McGovern's amendment because once this bill is all out there and it is passed, there will be no tax increases in it, and our friends can continue to speculate, but they won't be there.
But just in case, you're going to waive this rule, so I'd like a vote on it.
Yes, sir. Okay. Mr. Scott, do you wish to say something? Or can we vote on Mr. McGovern's motion? Okay. Mr. McGovern?
Madam Chair.
Mr. McGovern has moved to take out the last line in the rule, which says, Clause 5B of Rule 21 shall not apply to the bill or amendment thereto.
Absolutely, you got it right, absolutely.
Okay, so all in favor of Mr. McGovern's motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. No. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have, the noes have it, and Mr. McGovern
As for a roll call.
asks for a roll call. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? No. Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? No. Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? No. Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? No. Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern?
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon? Aye. Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Aye. Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No,
Madam Chair, no.
no. The clerk will report the tally.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to.
Madam Chair, I have another amendment to the rule. I move the committee make an order amendment number 233 offered by Democratic Leader Jeffries, which strikes all provisions that would cause millions of Americans to lose health care and food assistance. Leader Jeffries testified passionately before this committee about the devastating effect that this bill would have on American families. And out of respect for his position as the leader of the Democratic caucus and for the millions of Americans who will be hurt by this bill, Republicans should allow Leader Jeffries to offer his amendment on the floor for an up or down vote. And I urge a yes vote on my amendment, and I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. McGovern. Is there any further discussion on Mr. McGovern's amendment for including Mr. Jeffries' amendment? Hearing none, the question is on the motion from Mr. McGovern. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it. The amendment's not
I ask
agreed
for a
to.
roll call.
Mr. McGovern requests a roll call. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? No. Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? No. Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? No. Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern?
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon?
Aye.
Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Aye. Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
The clerk will report the tally.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to. Mr. McGovern, you're recognized.
I have an amendment to the rule. I move the committee make an order amendment number 245 offered by Representative Underwood, which makes the enhanced premium tax credits that lower the costs of health insurance plans offered on the ACA marketplace permanent. This amendment is simple. It will prevent millions of working Americans from losing their health care coverage and keep health care costs from skyrocketing.
Thank you, Mr. McGovern. Is there any further discussion on Mr. McGovern's amendment? Hearing none, the question is on the amendment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no.
No.
In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it.
I ask,
The noes have it. The amendment's not agreed to.
I ask for a recorded vote.
Mr. McGovern asked for a recorded vote. Clerk will call the vote.
Mrs.
Roll.
Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? No. Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? No. Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? No. Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? No. Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? No. Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern?
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon? Aye. Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Aye. Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
The clerk will report the tally.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to.
Madam Chair.
Is it- Mr. McGovern, you're
I
recognized.
have an amendment to the rule. I move the committee make an order amendment number 267, offered by Representative Del Bene, which makes the child tax credit fully refundable and increases the credit amount from $2,000 per child to $6,360 for newborns, $4,320 for children ages 1 through 6, and $3,600 for children aged 6 through 17. The Democrats passed an historic change to the child tax credit in 2021, cutting child poverty in half. Under the Republican bill today, families making $400,000 a year get the full child tax credit, but lower-income families may get nothing or just a fraction of that due to how the Republicans structured the credit. The official nonpartisan Joint Committee on Taxation estimated that next year, if the Republican bill were to pass, 17 million children who are American citizens would be blocked from getting the full value of the child tax credit. So I urge a yes vote on my amendment, and I yield back.
Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Hearing none, I call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no.
No.
In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it.
That's for roll call.
Mr. McGovern requests a roll call. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? No. Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? No. Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? No. Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? No. Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern?
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon? Aye. Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Aye. Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
Clerk will report the tally.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to. Is there further discussion or
Madam
amendment?
Chair, I have
Mr.
an amendment to
McGovern.
the rule. I move the committee make an order amendment number 250, offered by Representative Doggett, which reduces the cost of the bill by about half by ensuring only the 98% of taxpayers earning $400,000 or less each year receive a tax break, and the 2% of taxpayers earning over $400,000 do not receive any new tax breaks. Madam Chair, if Republicans want to put their money where their mouth is and provide tax relief for working families, not the millionaires or billionaires, they should support this amendment. This amendment would allow taxpayers earning $400,000 or less to receive the tax relief under the Republican proposal, but block the 2% of earners in America from receiving another tax break. This alone would save American taxpayers trillions of dollars, but I fear Republicans are too beholden to their wealthy donor class to go for it, but nonetheless, I urge a yes vote on this.
Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Hearing none, the question's on the amendment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. No. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it. The amendment's not
Ask for a
agreed
roll
to.
call, Madam.
Mr. McGovern requests a roll call. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? No. Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? No. Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? No. Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? No. Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? No. Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern?
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon? Aye. Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Aye. Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
The clerk will report the total.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to.
Madam
The
Chair?
noes have it. Mr. McGovern.
Madam Chair, so we got the manager's amendment, about a half an hour ago, and we're still trying to, comb through it to see, what the changes are and what the impacts are going to be. But there seems to be tens of billions of additional health care cuts in this manager's amendment. So you're rushing it in the dark of night, and it'll kick people off their health care. And I find that, not only concerning, quite frankly, I find that disgusting. Again, all to give tax breaks to billionaires. So I have another amendment to the rule. I move the committee make an order amendment number 40, offered by Representative Chu, which ensures that no one earning more than $10 million per year receives a tax cut. So Republicans just voted down a motion to protect tax relief for families making under $400,000 a year. This new amendment would ensure that those making over $10 million per year would not get a tax cut. So under this bill, people making over $1 million a year would get an average $82,000 tax cut compared to those making less than $50,000 who will get less than $1 per day. So the Republicans want to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on tax giveaways to those making over $10 million a year. I think we'll just wait and see. So I urge a yes vote on this.
Is there any further discussion on the amendment? I will just point out that, Mr. McGovern, in a similar situation, we have a 40-page manager's amendment. The Democrats dumped on us a 309-page manager's amendment, and we voted on it immediately.
I don't think that had anything to do with tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires, but
Well, it was a 309-page manager's amendment. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor of Mr. McGovern's amendment, say aye.
aye.
All those opposed, say no.
No.
In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it.
I ask for a roll call.
Mr. McGovern requests a roll call. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? No. Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? No. Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? No. Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? No. Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? No. Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern?
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon? Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
The clerk will report the total.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The noes have it. The amendment is not agreed to.
Madam Chair,
Mr. McGovern, you're recognized.
I have an amendment to the rule. I move the committee make an order amendment number 283 offered by Representative Gomez, which establishes a 39.6% tax bracket for income over $1 million. So, okay, so for those following along at home, Republicans have just voted down our amendment to limit tax cuts to those making under $400,000 per year. And they blocked another amendment to ensure people making over $10 million a year won't get a tax cut. So let's see how far they'll take this. This amendment would block Republicans from giving another tax cut to Americans making over $1 billion per year in income. That's billion with a B. Republicans are kicking millions of Americans off their health care and SNAP benefits in order to finance tax cuts, not for, in order to finance tax cuts that will help billionaires. So I'm giving Republicans one last chance to redeem themselves by voting in favor of this amendment.
Any further discussion? But I will point out, Mr. McGovern, this is the only, you're the only one who's pushing for a tax increase in this
Billionaires, yeah.
piece of legislation. We will be voting no, you will be voting yes on a tax increase. So the,
I think
The-
is Trump in favor of giving billionaires a tax cut? I
the,
don't know.
the motion,
He went to be heard.
Madam Chair.
I'm sorry, Mr. English.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just with respect to the ranking member's amendment, and certainly something I support. But again, just to clarify, and we had this discussion previously, the ranking member proposed an amendment that would have deleted the exemption to the 3/5 rule that you all defeated. So if you did not intend to increase income taxes, then you would not have needed to include a waiver of that rule. The House rules are very clear that any income tax increase requires 3/5 support of the full House. So if you want to increase income taxes, you have to get 3/5 of the House to support it. You all decided that you did not want that rule to apply to this bill. And the only reason why you would do so is because you know that your bill does in fact increase income taxes. Otherwise, there would be no point in seeking that waiver. So yes, Mr. McGovern's amendment seeks to increase taxes on billionaires, and that is very different than the middle income tax increases that you all have, or at least are concerned about in being embedded within your bill, given the pursuit of the exemption to that rule that you pursued. Mr. McGovern, I'm happy to yield to you.
Yeah, no, and I would just say, as we pointed out multiple times, the CBO letter that we all received showing how this bill would impact the bottom 10% and the top 10%. As you can see here, the top 10% do really well. The bottom 10% actually get hurt under this bill. So maybe if you voted for this, we could take some of that money and help the bottom 10% so they don't get screwed like they're getting in this letter here. So I'd urge a yes vote on this.
And I would just simply conclude by saying, we didn't have enough time to go through the historical record, but I actually do think that that vote y'all took a few minutes ago was unprecedented. I don't know that Mr. Norman has ever voted to waive the income tax 3/5 vote requirement in this House. I mean, I don't, and I certainly know Mr. Roy has not done that, which I suspect is why he's not here right now, because he didn't want to be on record on that particular vote, and I understand why. But in any event, I digress. I'll yield back.
You all digress a lot, and you're supposing something. We're voting on facts.
Okay.
So, the
I'd like to be heard on the
Ms.
amendment.
Ledger Fernandez, are you seeking recognition?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to be heard on Mr.
You're
Rankin.
recognized.
Thank you so very much. I think that a really key thing is, one is, you just voted to allow you to increase taxes with a simple majority. And unlike what you are doing, Mr. McGovern is being very clear, Mr. Gomez is being very clear about who he thinks should pay a teeny bit more in taxes. And that is the ultra wealthy. So it's a very clear vote. I mean, if you want to argue, because we've heard Republicans argue that this does not benefit the wealthy more than others, well, this is a way to actually allow it to go to a vote. It's very clear, very transparent. I have a similar amendment, and I'm going to yield some time to my
No, again,
Ranking member.
we're looking at this print. I mean,
Does Ms. Ledger Fernandez
she-
yield
I
it
just
to-
yielded
yeah,
some
yeah,
time
right.
to my ranking
I
member.
mean,
Yes, thank
at the
you.
bottom of page 16, the manager's amendment strikes 10 pages from your bill that was the RAINS Act. And if I remember correctly, Mr. Norman, as I recall, you said that that was the most important bill to curtail federal regulations. And that's your quote. And I don't know whether you know this or not, but the RAINS Act was stricken from the bill.
We are aware of that because of the bird bath issue. It has been not completely stricken, but redone
I think it has. I can't,
it has been redone in order to survive a bird bath. So we are aware of that. That's one of the technical changes in the 40 pages.
whatever. Anyway, I urge a yes vote on my amendment.
Okay.
I support your amendment, and if there, anybody else want to speak, I will yield in time, but seeing that I
Mr.
yield back.
McGovern's amendment to raise taxes, all those in favor say aye.
On the billionaires,
Billionaires, aye.
billionaires, billionaires,
And not
the
on-
billionaire
not on-
tax.
Not on poor people.
All those opposed, vote no. No.
That's for a roll call.
Okay, Mr. McGovern requests a roll call vote. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? No. Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? No. Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? No. Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? No. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern?
Yes.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon? Aye. Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Aye. Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
Clerk will report the tally.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to.
Madam Chair,
Mr. McGovern.
I have an amendment to the rule. I move the committee make an order amendment number 29, offered by Ranking Member Craig, which strikes harmful provisions that would slash $300 billion in food assistance for children, seniors, and veterans. Madam Chair, as I said earlier, this bill is a disaster. It is a disaster for the 16 million children, 8 million seniors, 4 million people with disabilities, and over 1 million veterans who rely on SNAP to put food on the table. This bill that you have here will cut the modest food benefits of about $2 per meal for millions of people in this country who need a little extra help to get by. The SNAP cuts contained in this bill also threaten access to school meals, because if kids get kicked off of SNAP, they are no longer directly certified to receive school meals. SNAP supports the people who matter the most to us, our moms and dads, our kids and grandparents. Cutting benefits means families will go hungry, farmers will suffer, and healthcare costs will go up. Support this amendment if you want to protect nutrition assistance for regular people. I urge a yes vote.
You've heard the motion from Mr. McGovern. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it. The amendment's not agreed to.
Madam Chair, I have an amendment to the rule. I can have a recorded vote, please.
Mr. McGovern requests a recorded vote. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? No. Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? No. Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? No. Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern?
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon? Aye. Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Aye. Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
The clerk will report the tally.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to.
Madam Chair,
Mr. McGovern?
I have an amendment to the rule. I move the committee make an order amendment number 32 offered by Representative Hayes, which prevents any cuts to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program from taking effect until certification. These provisions will not result in a reduction of benefits. Madam Chair, throughout the course of this debate and in the Agriculture Committee, Republicans insisted that they aren't taking benefits away from people who need them. Agriculture Committee Chairman Thompson said over and over again there wouldn't be cuts to benefits. And yet, we are considering a bill that would cut SNAP benefits by $300 billion. This isn't about integrity or any other nonsense that the Republican spin machine is trying to sell to people back home. This bill will take food away from kids, working families, and people with disabilities, full stop. There's no way to achieve the kind of cuts Republicans are making without cutting benefits for those populations of people. And if you really do believe that this bill doesn't cut benefits, then this amendment should be a no-brainer. Protect SNAP for the millions of Americans who rely on modest food benefits to feed their families by voting yes on this amendment.
Is there further discussion? I say only that integrity means a lot to Republicans. And integrity of programs is key to us, and that's what we're doing in this legislation, is we are going to do everything we can to get integrity in programs to save the programs. All those in favor of Mr. McGovern's amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. No. Opinion of the chair, the noes
Ask
have
for a
it.
roll call.
Mr. McGovern requests a roll call. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? No. Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? No. Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? No. Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? No. Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? No. Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern?
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon? Aye. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
The clerk will report the tally.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to.
Madam Chair, I have an amendment to the rule. I move the committee make an order amendment number 33 offered by Representative Brown, which prevents families with children as young as 7 years of age from losing food assistance. Madam Chair, families with kids who are 7 face barriers to child care. Many in rural areas may face transportation issues and a lack of jobs, which makes finding employment tough. Cutting parents with kids as young as 7 off of food assistance decimates the entire family's food budget. It means the whole family will have less money for food. So if you want to protect kids from losing access to nutritious food, please vote yes on this amendment. If you think it's more important to give billionaires another tax break at the expense of hungry kids, then you can vote no.
Further
Madam Chair.
discussion on Mr. McGovern's amendment.
Madam Chair, I just want to
Mr.
point
Scott.
out that this is in the provisions dealing with the able-bodied adults without dependents of the law. And I want to just make sure that everybody knows that you don't have to meet all of the requirements. You can meet any of the requirements, and you receive the exemption. any of the requirements and you receive the exemption. The age 7 has absolutely nothing to do with the child. It has to do with an automatic waiver for the adults in the household. That's it. Anything else that they tell you is simply not true.
Well, no, with
that-
with due respect, we heard that from the chairman, and he's wrong, and you're wrong as well. So, I mean, that somehow, that lowering the age to 7 doesn't.
A person is not, I can read it from a person is not subject to the ABOD work requirement if they are any of the following: younger than age 18 or age 63 or older, the 63 or older is the change, exempt from the general work requirement rules, pregnant, experiencing physical, mental barriers to work, experiencing homelessness, a veteran, age 24 or younger in the foster care when you return age 18, living with someone under the age of 7 in their SNAP household. You can meet any of those and you're exempt. That's
You're
it.
taking food away from the parent, and therefore you're taking food away from the family. I mean, I don't understand why this is so hard to get your mind around. I mean, the bottom line is you're decreasing the amount of food assistance going to a family that loses a 7-year-old child.
With all due respect, Mr. McGovern, all you have to meet is one of these to get the automatic waiver, and if you don't get the automatic waiver, you can still apply for the other waiver. With that, I yield.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. You've heard the motion from Mr. McGovern. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no.
No.
In the opinion of the chair, the noes.
Ask for a roll call vote on that.
All right. Mr. McGovern requests a roll call. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? No. Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? No. Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern?
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon? Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
Clerk will report the total.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to.
Madam Chair, I have an amendment to the rule. I move the committee make an order amendment number 25, offered by Representative McLean Delaney, which prevents sections 1001 through 100012 from taking effect until certification. These provisions will not result in a decrease in benefits for households with children under the age of 18. And if, Mr. Scott is so confident that there's all these waivers, then this should be something he should vote for. This bill cuts the food budgets of families with kids in 2 ways. First, it imposes new time limits on SNAP for parents with kids over the age of 7. Second, it shifts the cost of benefits over to the states, who simply do not have the hundreds of millions of dollars, in some cases up to $1 billion, laying around to pay for the benefits. So if states can't meet their cost share, then they will have no choice but to reduce the benefit for the people who receive SNAP in their states. So again, this should be an easy amendment for Republicans to vote for, and I would urge a yes vote.
Any further discussion on the amendment? If not, hearing none, the question's on the amendment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. No. In the opinion of the chair, noes have it. The amendment is not
Ask for
agreed
a
to.
roll call.
Mr. McGovern requests a roll call. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? No. Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? No. Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? No. Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? No. Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? No. Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Ms. Montgomery?
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon? Aye. Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Aye. Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
Clerk will report the tally.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to.
Madam Chair, I have an amendment to the rule. I move the committee make and order amendment number 184, offered by Ranking Member Scott and myself, which prohibits the bill from going into effect unless cuts to Medicaid and SNAP would not result in fewer families being eligible for free school meals. Madam Chair, a new report by the Urban Institute warned that up to 18.3 million kids could lose access to free school meals because of this awful bill. For many kids, Free school meals provides them with the most nutritious food that they are able to access on any given day. Because of the way SNAP interacts with school meals in many states, children who lose SNAP benefits also lose direct eligibility for free and reduced meals at school. When we last considered the budget, members on this committee insisted that Republicans were not going to cut school meals. And yet we have a report right here telling us that millions of kids may lose access because of the changes. So Republicans, the changes that Republicans are making to nutritional assistance. So vote yes on this amendment if you want to protect school meals for kids. And I yield back.
Is there any further discussion?
Madam Chair.
Ms. Ledger Fernandez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I think this really goes to what do we expect of our children when they go to school? And we know that there's study after study that says that children who are hungry cannot learn as well. And when we invest in our children, we are investing in our future. And to deprive school children of school meals is simply not consistent with what I think we should be as a nation. And so I am thankful for the ranking member for his amendment that really prioritizes the need to make sure that we have healthy school children, and I urge a yes vote on his amendment.
Thank you, Ms. Ledger Fernandez. You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. No. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it.
I ask for a roll call, Madam Chair.
Mr. McGovern requests a roll call. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? No. Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? No. Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? No. Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? No. Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? No. Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern?
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon? Aye. Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Aye. Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
The clerk will report the tally.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to.
Madam Chair, I have an amendment to the rule. I move the committee make an order amendment number 68, offered by Representative Vasquez, which inserts the text of the Affordable Insulin Now Act from the 118th Congress, which was H.R. 1488, which limits cost sharing for insulin under private health insurance for a month's supply of selected insulin products at $35 or 25% of a plan's negotiated price after any price concessions, whichever is less.
You've heard the amendment by Mr. McGovern. Is there any further discussion? Ms. Ledger Fernandez?
Madam Chair, the $35 a month insulin cap was so important, especially in Native American communities where there's high diabetes rate, especially in Latino communities, which also have a high diabetes rate. We actually have something similar in New Mexico, and it really did make a difference. It helped people to make sure they took their insulin and didn't ration it, because you need to take that insulin. And when it gets too expensive, people can't afford it. So this was, I think, a wonderful thing that the Democrats did in the 118th. But it's something that we should all own, because diabetes is running rampant in all of our communities, especially rural communities. So I support Mr. McGovern's amendment and urge a yes vote.
All those in favor of Mr. McGovern's amendment say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no.
No.
No. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it.
Ask for roll call.
Mr. McGovern requests a roll call. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? No. Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? No. Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? No. Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? No. Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? No. Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern?
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon? Aye. Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Aye. Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
The clerk will report the tally.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to.
Madam Chair, I
Yes,
have an
Mr.
amendment to the
McGovern.
rule. I move the committee make an order amendment number 42, offered by Representative Chu, which strikes the provisions in the bill that increase costs, increase red tape, and make it harder for people to get coverage, and cause coverage loss on the ACA marketplace.
You've heard the amendment by Mr. McGovern. All those is further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. No. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it.
Ask for a roll call.
Mr. McGovern requests a roll call. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? No. Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? No. Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? No. Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? No. Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? No. Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern?
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon? Aye. Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Aye. Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
The clerk will report the tally.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to.
Madam
The
Chair.
further, Mr. McGovern, you're recognized.
I have an amendment to the rule. I move the committee make an order amendment number 242, offered by Representative Gomez, which extends eligibility for the ACA premium tax credit to include children and pregnant women, including those losing Medicaid coverage. This amendment is simple. It ensures that children and pregnant women are not harmed by the Republican attack on health insurance coverage. It will prevent millions of children and pregnant women from losing their health care coverage and mitigate Republicans' deliberate health care cost increases.
Is there any further discussion to Mr. McGovern's amendment? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. No. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it. The amendment's
I
not
ask for a
agreed to.
roll call, ma'am.
Mr. McGovern requests a roll call. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? No. Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? No. Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? No. Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? No. Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern?
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon? Aye. Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Aye. Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
Clerk will report the tally.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment's not agreed to. Are there further amendments?
Madam Chair, I have an amendment to the rule. I move the committee make an order amendment number 215 offered by Representative Rivas, which strikes the provision creating a moratorium on states or a political subdivision from enforcing any law or regulation limiting, restricting, or regulating artificial intelligence models, artificial intelligence systems, or automated decision systems entered into interstate commerce. Madam Chair, this amendment would strike the awful provision in this bill that makes sure that AI companies continue to operate lawlessly. As it is currently written, the Republican budget reconciliation package will place a 10-year moratorium on state-level AI regulations. This is wrong, and it must be removed. I hear from my constituents every single day that they are worried about AI. They're worried about how it will affect their jobs, their families, their government, their health care, and their children. People are scared and excited about what AI will do to the world around them. Now, Republicans slipped a provision in this bill that says to all states, red or blue, your legislation on AI doesn't count. Throw it in the trash. This is a sneaky and it's authoritarian. This is a bad faith effort to leave AI unregulated under the guise of dispelling regulatory burdens. I mean, truth be told, I mean, this body ought to legislate on this topic, but no one's had the guts to do it. So the states have stepped up, and they have taken this matter into their hands, and that you're going in and basically telling states that what they've done doesn't matter, I think is terrible. So I urge a yes vote on my amendment.
Is there further discussion on Mr. McGovern's amendment?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I agree. Congress needs to legislate on this, but it's not possible to do it at the state level, so I'm opposed to this.
Okay, so
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Scott. The vote is on Mr. McGovern's amendment. All those in favor say aye.
aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
Roll call.
Mr. McGovern requests a roll call. Clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? No. Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? No. Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? No. Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? No. Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? No. Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern?
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon? Aye. Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Aye. Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
Clerk will report the total.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to.
Madam Chair,
Mr.
I
McGovern?
have an amendment to the rule. I move the committee make an order amendment number 202 offered by Representative Ocasio-Cortez, which subtitle A of Title 4 shall not go into effect until the Inspector General of the Department of Energy certifies that the implementation of sections 41002 and 41004 of this subtitle will not result in increased risks of corruption or pay-to-play politics that would adversely impact the integrity of the permitting processes of the Department of Education and the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. Madam Chair, these unbelievable provisions essentially mean that you can give the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission $10 million and they automatically have to approve your pipeline, or that you can give DOE $1 million and they automatically find that your LNG exports are in the public interest and can move forward. And guess what? Every state and local government no longer has a say. They have to approve your pipeline if you pay $10 million. This is a pay-to-play permitting bribery scheme, plain and simple. And it's becoming all too commonplace in this administration. And so I urge a yes vote on my amendment, and I yield back.
Further discussion? All those in favor of Mr. McGovern's amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no.
No.
Independent chair, the noes have
I
it.
ask for a roll call.
Mr. McGovern requests a roll call. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern?
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon? Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
The clerk will report the total.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to. Further discussion or amendments?
Madam
Ms.
Chair.
Scanlon, you're recognized.
I have an amendment to the rule. I move the committee make in order amendment number 374, offered by Representative Mike Thompson, which would strike section 112029, which eliminates the $200 tax on silencers, which has been in place since 1934. Before we proceed to discuss this, can I ask, are any of our colleagues, are you aware of any changes that might have been made in the manager's amendment to this provision regarding silencers? You are? Okay, so you understand that the manager's amendment, which we just got, less than an hour ago, removes silencers from the requirements of the National Firearms Act, which was passed in 1934, and which since that time has required that silencers be subject to a background check and be registered, and up until the time of the underlying bill, also had a $200 registration fee. But all of a sudden, we started this hearing by noting that nobody calls a hearing for 1 o'clock in the morning unless you're trying to hide something. So now we're 21 hours later. We've seen the sun come up, a little cloudy. We've seen the sun go down. So now here we are again in the dark of night, and all of a sudden, there's a magical amendment in the manager's amendment that is going to put more dangerous firearm equipment out on the streets. So here we are. You're sneaking this provision in that not only gets rid of the firearm registration fee for a silencer, but also removes the requirement that they have to be registered at all. Over 400 silencers were found on or traced to violent crime scenes in 2023 alone. So in addition to removing silencers from the definition in the National Firearms Act, there's no discussion of why such
Ma'am,
a
if you
policy
would yield for just a
change would
second.
happen. Also, the removal of the excise tax here is going to cost American taxpayers $1.5 billion. So it's a brazen attempt to make it easier to commit violent crimes. So I
I think this is sneaky. I think it's a radical policy change with no explanation for why this longstanding federal policy should be overturned in the middle of the night, and I'd urge a yes vote on my amendment. Yes, and I'll yield to Mr. McGovern.
Mr. Scott.
It's actually not a silencer, it's a suppressor. It doesn't, it's a suppressor.
I'm sorry, it is still my time. If we look at your manager's amendment, it says that the section is amended by striking any silencer. The
Okay.
whole
Well,
National
then I
Firearms
apologize.
Act-
I don't want to argue with you.
And you can
but-
look up the National Firearms Act. I'm sorry, it's
Okay.
still my time, and I'm yielding to Mr. McGovern.
I would just say, I
Oh,
support.
never mind then. I thought you wanted to engage in a debate, but that's okay. I'm
Yeah.
opposed to it.
I had
Yeah,
yielded to
yeah,
him
yeah.
first.
Of course you are. But I mean, I support the gentlelady's amendment because, quite frankly, what is in this reconciliation bill, does more to support assassins than it does American families. Yeah, well, you know what? Talk to law enforcement. Talk to people who have been victims of gun violence. I know you think it's funny, but I don't. With that, I yield back to the gentlelady.
Any further discussion?
I'll yield back.
I'd like to be recognized, Madam Chair.
Mr. Neguse, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess, and I'm happy to engage in a debate with my colleague. I always enjoy debating with Mr. Scott. The confusion I have about this particular provision, obviously for all of the reasons that Ms. Scanlon and Ranking Member McGovern stated, I think this is a dangerous, deeply problematic provision that you all have put into this piece of legislation. The question I have is, this was not in the bill that we were marking up. So whose vote was bought with this provision that silencers will no longer need to be registered with the ATF or subject to background checks, purchasers, that is to say? Like, what member was on the fence about this bill and then went to Republican leadership and said, I know you're eliminating the tax on silencers, but if you can just eliminate all regulation of silencers, I will vote for this bill. Who's?
It did not eliminate all regulations of silencers.
Sure. So,
It's still subject, no, it doesn't.
no.
You don't know anything about this one, brother.
I
know
haven't
this
yielded
one.
to you yet, Mr. Scott.
I have 10 of them.
I haven't
have
yielded
about-
to you yet.
I have 10
Wait.
plus. I'm not
I
going
haven't
to
yielded to you
Wait.
yet, Mr. Scott. So,
Mr.
I'll,
Neguse has the time.
thank you, Madam Chair. This provision very clearly states that you no longer have to register silencers with the ATF. Is that wrong? Is that incorrect?
That does not mean that you will not go through a background
I
check. It will be
understand.
sold the same way a rifle
That's
is.
not the question I asked, Mr. Scott. I asked
Don't
whether
yell
this
at me.
provision,
I gave you an answer. You
Wait,
don't like
wait.
it. It's over with.
this
Let-
provision very clearly states
Let Mr. Neguse ask a question and answer it, please, Mr. Scott.
the National Firearm Act for 100 years, since the days of Al Capone, which is the impetus behind the National Firearm Act in the first instance, has required registration for those purchasing silencers. That was the case up until 45 minutes ago, when Republicans negotiated the elimination of that registration requirement. Fairly straightforward. I don't really know who in the Republican caucus was adamant that this provision was the key to unlocking their support since.
And I don't believe anyone here, excuse me for interrupting, but I don't think anybody here knows that either, Mr. Neguse.
Got it. Well, that's helpful. Thank you,
There
Madam
we go.
Chair. That was,
I think
that's a helpful answer.
Let's cut to the chase.
And maybe we might find out on the floor during debate. I mean, hopefully, I guess what I will say, and I'll close here, is that, because I know many of our colleagues are watching, is they're waiting to get to the floor for the debate, that perhaps whoever it was that made this request of Speaker Johnson and said, I need this provision so that I can vote for this bill, that they might come to the floor and help explain to the American public why that was.
Maybe
Mr. Ranking Member?
maybe we could just follow the money, and that's how we can figure out who did it.
Another way to do it, too.
Thank you.
I yield back the balance of my time. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor from Ms. Scanlon. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
In the opinion of the
I'd
chair,
ask
the
for a
noes
roll
have
call
it. Ms. Scanlon requests a recorded vote. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern?
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon?
Aye.
Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Aye. Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
Clerk will report the total.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to. Ms.
Madam Chair?
Scanlon, you're recognized.
I have an amendment to the rule. I move the committee make in order amendment number 27, offered by Representative Johnson, which strikes bill text that would prevent the courts from enforcing a contempt citation against the government for failure to comply with an injunction or a temporary restraining order. As we discussed previously, when some of our colleagues were here, certainly Representative Johnson, this is a critical part of separation of powers, that the courts be able to effectuate their decisions. So I'd urge a yes vote.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion by Ms. Scanlon, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no.
No.
No. In the
I
opinion
would
of the
ask for a
chair,
roll call vote.
Ms. Scanlon requests a roll call. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? No. Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? No. Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? No. Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern?
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon?
Aye.
Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Aye. Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
Clerk will report the total.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to. Ms. Scanlon, you're recognized.
I have an amendment to the rule. I move the committee make in order amendment number 150, offered by myself, which prohibits funds from Title VII, Subtitle A, Immigration Matters, from being used to implement or defend Executive Order 14160 entitled Protecting the Meaning and Value of American Citizenship. President Trump has executed a blatantly unconstitutional executive order which purports to revoke the 14th Amendment's guarantee of birthright citizenship, a right that reflects the foundational American value that we don't define our nationhood by bloodlines or parentage, but by our shared democratic values, and therefore no funds under this bill should be used to enforce it. In the U.S., birthright citizenship is guaranteed by the Citizenship Clause in the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. It was ratified in 1868. The clause, very first sentence in the 14th Amendment, provides that all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state where they reside. On January 20th of this year, President Trump issued a prospective executive order declaring that for certain persons born in the United States, neither the 14th Amendment nor the federal statute incorporating similar language conferred U.S. citizenship. Specifically, this executive order sought to exclude from U.S. citizenship 2 categories of persons whose fathers are not citizens or lawful permanent residents: those whose mothers were unlawfully present in the United States on their date of birth, and those whose mothers were lawfully present in the country at the time of birth, but only on a temporary basis, such as a mother present in the U.S. on a student, work, or tourist visa. A really tortured definition and description of who he intended this executive order to impact. Every court which has looked at this executive order has found it to be unconstitutional and unenforceable. The executive order has been enjoined by 4 different judges appointed by Presidents Reagan, Bush, Obama, and Biden. 2 circuits have agreed to keep the executive order enjoined, and now implementation is pending before the Supreme Court. You know, right-wing extremists have repeatedly failed to convince the public or Congress to end birthright citizenship through legal means, so now they're trying to cheer on from the sidelines as the president tries to change the Constitution without the American people's consent. So I would offer this amendment. It is straight up preventing the use of taxpayer funds to enforce an unconstitutional executive order, and I would yield back.
Is there any further discussion on the amendment by Ms. Scanlon? Hearing none, All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. No. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it.
I'd ask for a
Ms.
recorded vote.
Scanlon asked for a recorded vote. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman?
Mr. Norman? No.
Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern? Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon?
Aye.
Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Aye. Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
Clerk will report the total.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to. Ms. Scanlon,
Chair.
you're recognized.
I have an amendment to the rule. I move the committee make in order amendment number 238 offered by Minority Whip Clark, which strikes the section that defunds Planned Parenthood and would reduce access to life-saving cancer screenings and reproductive health care. This bill includes a provision that directly blocks Medicaid patients from receiving care at Planned Parenthood, the nation's largest provider of reproductive health services. Of course, we all know that Medicaid is already not allowed to cover abortions, so this provision is a clear attack on women and their health care writ large. I urge a yes vote on my amendment, and I yield back.
Thank you. You've heard the amendment offered by Ms. Scanlon. Is there any further discussion?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Ms. Ledger Fernandez, you're recognized.
Thank you very much. I just want to point out that one of the concerns that the Democrats have is that throughout this bill, there is a constant attack on women's health care. I'll be offering an amendment later about the manager's amendment, but, to not fund the place where women get health care, cancer screenings, pap smears, mammograms, basic care that women need. And Planned Parenthood is often the only place they can get it, especially in rural areas. I would urge you to think about the women in your districts and their need for health care and prioritize that. And for that reason, I support this amendment.
Thank you. You've heard the amendment from Ms. Scanlon. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the
I'd ask
noes
for a
have it.
recorded vote.
Ms. Scanlon requests a recorded vote. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? No. Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? No. Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? No. Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? No. Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? No. Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern? Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon?
Aye.
Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
The clerk will report the total.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to. Ms. Scanlon, you're recognized.
Thank you. I have an amendment to the rule. I move the committee make in order amendment number 411 offered by myself, which strikes section 42106, which repeals and rescinds funds to address air pollution in schools. I yield back.
Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Hearing none, the vote is on the motion by Ms. Scanlon. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no.
No.
No. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it. Ms. Scanlon requests a recorded vote. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern? Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon?
Aye.
Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
Clerk will report the total.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to. Ms. Scanlon, you're recognized.
Madam Chair, I have an amendment to the rule. I move the committee make in order amendment number 71 offered by Representative Raskin, which prevents Title VII from taking effect until the Attorney General certifies that any grant administered by the Office of Justice Programs of the Department of Justice that was terminated after January 20th, 2025 has been reinstated. Last month, President Trump's Department of Justice abruptly cut hundreds of millions of dollars in grant funding that had previously been awarded to support law enforcement, crime prevention, and public safety programs across the country. Despite broad bipartisan support for these grant programs administered by the Department of Justice Office of Justice Programs, and President Trump's repeated promises to the American people that he would prioritize public safety, support victims of crime, and address the opioid crisis, his own Department of Justice abruptly informed more than 300 OJP grantees that their work, quote, no longer effectuated the program goals or agency priorities and does not align with this administration's priorities, end quote. Organizations in at least 37 states across the country lost funding, red states and blue states and urban, suburban, and rural areas, and the work of those organizations, which benefits jurisdictions all across our country, would help ensure that all citizens have access to effective systems of safety and justice, regardless of where they live. The terminated grants totaling an estimated $500 million provided federal support for violence reduction, policing and prosecution, victim services, juvenile justice and child protection, substance use and mental health treatment, corrections and reentry, justice system enhancements, research and evaluation, and other state and local level public safety functions. During the House Judiciary Committee's consideration of the reconciliation bill on April 30th, Ranking Member Raskin and committee Democrats tried to restore that funding. Our Republican colleagues rejected it, but cutting funding for these vital programs threatens public safety, harms victims and survivors of violent crime, and hinders crime prevention efforts. So I urge a yes vote on the amendment, and I yield back.
You've heard the motion by Ms. Scanlon. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. No. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it. Ms. Scanlon requests a roll call. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern? Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon?
Aye.
Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
The clerk will report the total.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to. Ms. Scanlon, you're recognized.
Thank you. I have an amendment to the rule. I move the committee make in order amendment number 35, offered by Representative Jayapal, which prohibits the use of funds in Subtitle A of Title VII from being used by Immigration and Customs Enforcement to detain or deport U.S. citizens. The amendment is straightforward. It should be uncontroversial. It would ensure that none of the funds in this bill are used to detain U.S. citizens for immigration enforcement. Reports of U.S. citizens being wrongfully arrested and detained started coming out just days after this administration was sworn in. Some citizens have been detained for merely speaking Spanish. Others were held for days despite consistently telling the Department of Homeland Security that they were citizens. ICE detention of U.S. citizens because of reckless and lawless immigration enforcement is both unconstitutional and dangerous. Even ICE acknowledges that it has no authority to arrest and detain U.S. citizens. Their internal guidance says, as a matter of law, ICE cannot assert its civil immigration enforcement authority to arrest or detain a U.S. citizen. Nevertheless, we've seen detentions of U.S. citizens occur. We've heard about deportation of children, U.S. citizens. So Congress has a duty to act. We have to ensure that government funding, taxpayer dollars, doesn't support illegal or unconstitutional actions. Therefore, I offer this amendment and urge a yes vote. I yield back.
Any further discussion on the amendment? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. No. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it. Ms. Scanlon requests a recorded vote.
Mrs.
Clerk
Fishbach?
will call the vote.
Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? No. Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? Mr. Langworthy? No. Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? No. Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern?
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon?
Aye.
Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Aye. Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez?
Aye.
Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
The clerk will report the total.
4 yeas, 7 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to. Mr. Neguse, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had one amendment that I had planned to introduce. The necessity for that amendment has been obviated, but I wonder if I might be recognized for a minute just to explain why, and then I'll hand it off to Ms. Ledger Fernandez. I had intended to offer an amendment with respect to the provision in two provisions within the bill that would have overturned resource management plans in Colorado, and secondly, the land conveyance issue that we had discussed at great length earlier today. Both of those provisions were removed from the underlying bill. And so I want to thank Representative Zinke, who was very adamant in building a coalition necessary to make the case about removing those provisions. I also want to thank Representative Lee, Representative Horsford, and Representative Titus, each of whom were also, as you know, Madam Chair, from their testimony today, very engaged in making the case that this is not a precedent that the committee should adopt. I'm happy to thank Mr. Langworthy as well. I don't know if my Chautauqua references perhaps played a role in that, but in any event, I'm sure that put it right over the top, but in any event. So I am glad that that provision is no longer in this larger bill, and so I will not pursue the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Neguse. Are there any further amendments? Ms. Ledger Fernandez, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I want to offer my first amendment, where I move the committee to add a self-executed second-degree amendment to the manager's amendment, striking the assertion of a new section 44202, which is on page 14 of your manager's amendment, because this would result in at least 300,000 people losing health care coverage. And more importantly, this is the Republicans' attempt to have a national abortion ban. This is their attempt to have a national abortion ban because it would eliminate abortion coverage for marketplace plans or prohibit cost-sharing reduction for plans that maintain abortion coverage. So what you're basically doing is saying if anybody is getting their health coverage through the marketplace, you are putting a disincentive on there so they will not be able to provide abortion. It's a very sneaky amendment in the manager's amendment, but I think we all need to call it out, and so that's why it's the first amendment I am bringing, because that is in effect what it does. And I think that we heard today from Whip Clark about the difficulty of getting reproductive health care, and this is extraordinary in what it would do. And I shared my own personal story, which, given the kind of health care I was undergoing, could have resulted in what might have been considered an abortion, despite the fact that I was just trying to save my life. So these are the kinds of unintended consequences, but this is a very intentional consequence of what's in this bill. And so I urge that Americans understand what's happening here, and that women understand what's happening there in this bill. And it's at the last minute. What, we got it, a couple of hours ago, and they're going to vote on it in a few hours, they've promised us.
Thank you, Ms. Ledger Fernandez. You've heard the motion by Ms. Ledger Fernandez. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. In the opinion, Chair, the noes have it. Ms. Ledger Fernandez requests a recorded vote. The Clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? Mr. Langworthy? Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? No. Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern? Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon?
Aye.
Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez?
Aye.
Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
Clerk will report the total.
4 yeas, 7 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to. Are there
Madam
further
Chair.
amendments? Ms. Leisure Fernandez, you're.
Madam Chair, I have amendment to the rule. I move the committee make and order amendment number 47, which is offered by Representative Sykes. Representative Sykes appeared before us and made an impassioned claim as to why we needed to protect Medicaid. And we have heard those on the day say, but this is not really cutting Medicaid. Well, this amendment is your chance to actually vote consistent with some of those statements. So, Madam Chair, I urge a yes vote so that we can actually have a debate on the floor on Representative Sykes' amendment. And I yield back.
You've heard the motion by Ms. Leisure Fernandez. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no? No. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it.
Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Leisure Fernandez requests a roll call vote. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? Mr. Langworthy? Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? No. Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? No. Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? No. Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern? Yes. Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon?
Aye.
Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Aye. Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez?
Aye.
Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
Clerk will report the total.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to.
Madam
Any
Chair.
further amendments? Ms. Leisure Fernandez, you're.
Madam Chair, I have an amendment to the rule. I move the committee make an order amendment number 485 offered by Representative Byer, which strikes the elimination of the electricity investment protection tax credits in order to keep electricity prices low. This reconciliation bill amounts to a full repeal of the clean energy tax credits Democrats established through Inflation Reduction Act. But the thing is, this is a way of lowering costs for American families. According to the Department of Energy, in just the last 10 years, costs have declined significantly for many technologies, including distributed solar, down 26%, land-based wind, down 41%, utility-scale solar, down 73%. What other kind of energy is going down in these kinds of degrees? So the Inflation Reduction Act, the renewable energy, the clean energy that Americans want, it is also saving Americans money. In fact, in New Mexico, where, as you know, I've explained, we also are a fossil fuel producing state, we're developing clean energy power plants, manufacturing facilities, we're creating jobs, we're lowering costs. People want us to keep doing this, but Republicans want to go back in time. You know, I feel like we're in the 19th century, and Republicans are arguing that gas lamps are better than electric light bulbs, and Gesundheit and God bless, Madam Chair. So when Republicans talk about energy dominance, why are they giving up on the energy of the future? If we want to be truly energy dominant and compete in what is expected to be, listen to this, a $2 trillion global clean energy market. If you do not keep these credits in existence, you are basically saying, China, take it all. You lead the world. Well, I don't think we should do that. We have the resources here. Let's vote in favor of the amendment, or at least let our members decide whether they should keep it. With that, Madam Chair, I urge a yes vote and yield back.
Thank you, Ms. Leisure Fernandez. You've heard the motion from Ms. Leisure Fernandez. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no.
No.
In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it. Noes have it. Ms. Leisure Fernandez requests a recorded vote. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern? Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon?
Aye.
Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse?
Aye.
Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez?
Aye.
Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
The clerk will report the total.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to.
Madam Chair,
Ms. Leisure Fernandez.
I have an amendment to the rule. I move the committee make an order amendment number 483 offered by myself, which protects state budgets and education and healthcare funding from reductions in oil and gas revenues. So basically, what we did in the House Natural Resources is we reduced oil and gas royalty rates. Now, the problem is that oil and gas producing states share in the federal royalty rates. So for those states who have federal lands, they're going to be receiving less royalties. And let's look at how this happened. Act 1, Trump promised to scrap climate laws and to do what oil and gas wanted if U.S. oil bosses donated $1 billion to the Trump campaign. Act number 2, Trump starts living up to that promise. He takes aim at city and state climate laws in an executive order. And now act number 3, cuts to oil and gas royalty rates in the budget reconciliation. And they are going to reduce the money flowing to states. And, you know, my colleague across the aisle pointed out that New Mexico does receive oil and gas, but what this would do, and our land commissioner, whose job it is to try to make sure we get as much money off of those oil and gas leases, wrote us a letter in House Natural Resources pointing out that this would be almost a almost a $500 billion hit to our state because of what we will be doing here. So on behalf of my state, of Colorado, of North Dakota, of all of those other states that have oil and gas producing, I urge a yes vote on my amendment, and I yield back.
You've heard the amendment from Ms. Leisure Fernandez. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no.
No.
In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it. The
A
noes
recorded
have it.
vote.
Ms. Leisure Fernandez requests a recorded vote. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern?
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon?
Aye.
Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse?
Aye.
Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez?
Aye.
Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
The clerk will report the total.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to.
Madam Chair, I would offer as my last amendment, there are so many issues that we heard about today that deserve to have a vote on the floor. The amendments, there used to be a time when I remember we would show up and there'd be votes. You'd have to make decisions. But what happens in rules now is there's never any amendments. They're all closed rules. But this one I think is really key, and I'm going to offer it as my last amendment because this actually goes to the fact that when we look at that chart that shows that working families, low-income families are going to, they're going to basically, they're going to get a tax hike in essence. They're going to lose out under this bill. But we could change that. We could change that if we struck Section 11004, the extension of the increased child tax credit, and replaced it with H.R. 27633, the American Family Act. And what this would do, this would put the full child tax credit, fully refundable, in the bill. If we care about lifting children out of poverty, making sure that families get to decide, and not only that, making sure that those who earn less get the full child tax credit so that it's not just the wealthy who are getting the full child tax credit. It makes a lot of sense. And, you know, this is one of those things where you guys just put Trump on the baby bonds. We should have put Biden on the child tax credit that we passed, right? But that's the thing, is we just believe in making a difference for people, not plastering names all over the place. But it was good law when we had it, when the Democrats passed it, and it existed in Biden. We should bring it back. And with that, Madam Chair, I yield back. And before I yield back, though,
I have one more amendment.
oh, you're going to do an amendment? Okay. In that case, I yield back.
Thank you. Good. Oh, question on your amendment. Yes. I didn't think you made it. You made an amendment. Right. Thank you. Yes. Okay. All those in favor of Ms. Ledger Fernandez' amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. No. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it.
You want a roll call? Roll call.
Ms. Ledger Fernandez requests a roll call. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman?
Mr. Norman? No.
Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? No. Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? No. Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? No. Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern?
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon?
Aye.
Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Aye. Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
The clerk will report the tally.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to. Mr. McGovern, you recognize.
Madam Chairman, I just have another amendment to the rule. I move the committee make an order amendment number 2 offered by Representative Gillen, which strikes the limitation on the state and local tax deduction. But before we vote on this last amendment, I just want to recap some of what just happened here tonight. So Republicans on this committee voted against raising taxes on billionaires, voted against following a House rule that requires a 3/5 vote to raise income taxes, you know, just in case this great, beautiful bill of theirs raises taxes on regular working people, which I think we all believe it does. But they're insulating themselves by voting, by basically waiving the 3/5 requirement. And Republicans voted against protecting Medicaid benefits. They voted against protecting SNAP benefits for children. So I guess more children will have to go hungry. And they voted against an amendment to restore NIH funding for critical cancer research and other important medical research. And I think this is all shameful. So these votes basically show us where your priorities and your values are. And as I said at 1 o'clock in the morning, when you vote for this, you own it. And so with that, Madam Chair, I urge a yes vote on my amendment and urge you to call the question.
Okay. You've heard the motion by Mr. McGovern. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no.
No.
In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it.
Ask for a roll call.
Mr. McGovern requests a roll call vote. Clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach? No. Mrs. Fishbach, no. Mr. Norman? No. Mr. Norman, no. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? No. Mrs. Houchin, no. Mr. Langworthy? No. Mr. Langworthy, no. Mr. Scott? No. Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Griffith? No. Mr. Griffith, no. Mr. Jack?
No.
Mr. Jack, no. Mr. McGovern?
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Ms. Scanlon?
Aye.
Ms. Scanlon, aye. Mr. Neguse? Aye. Mr. Neguse, aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Aye. Ms. Ledger Fernandez, aye. Madam Chair?
No.
Madam Chair, no.
Clerk will report the total.
4 yeas, 8 nays.
The amendment is not agreed to. Hearing no further discussion, the question is on the motion from the gentlewoman from Indiana. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no.
No.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The motion is agreed to.
Ask for a roll call.
Mr. McGovern requests a roll call. The clerk will call the roll.
Mrs. Fishbach?
Yes.
Mrs. Fishbach, aye. Mr. Norman? Mr. Norman, aye. Mr. Roy? Mrs. Houchin? Mrs. Houchin, aye. Mr. Langworthy? Mr. Langworthy, aye. Mr. Scott? Mr. Scott, aye. Mr. Griffith? Mr. Griffith, aye. Mr. Jack?
Aye.
Mr. Jack, aye. Mr. McGovern?
Hell no.
Mr. McGovern, no. Ms. Scanlon?
No.
Ms. Scanlon, no. Mr. Neguse? No. Mr. Neguse, no. Ms. Ledger Fernandez? Ms. Ledger Fernandez, no. Madam Chair?
Aye.
Madam Chair, aye.
The clerk will report the total.
8 yeas, 4 nays.
The ayes have it. The motion to report is agreed to. Accordingly, the gentlewoman from Indiana, Ms. Houchin, will be managing this rule for the majority.
And I will for the minority. Can I ask just one question? What is the schedule?
We will be going to the floor
Gotta do it, right?
right now.
Are we doing just the rule tonight, or are we doing the rule and the bill tonight?
I am not clear, but I believe there's a chance we'll do the bill tonight.
All right.
Okay? So,
Aren't you glad we started at 1 o'clock?
without, usually about 20 minutes. 20, 30 minutes usually. Right. Without objection, the committee is adjourned.